Yeah, good evening, everyone. Thank you for taking your time this evening to join us on this session. So today we have Mr. Manoj Kaimal with us on this session, who's a yoga and a well-being expert. And as you all know, you're now part of the WMC's program that is currently taking place. So WMC is nothing but the World Malayali Council, an association, a global non-profit organization, association that is related with across the Malayali diaspora and also supporting young and all the Malayalis to become better and do well in their lives. So as part of this, we have several initiatives that's not just supporting Malayalis, but also every other communities. And we believe in equality, and we also believe in making sure that everybody's taken care of really well. So as part of that is we have Mr. Manoj Kaimal, who's agreed to join us today and support us to provide some expert advice on yoga and well-being for our daily lives and for our personal lives. So Manoj is going to talk us about how do we swim through the waters of our soul. And as you know, Manoj, some of you already know Manoj is a yoga practitioner and has been practicing yoga since the age of 8 under his grandparents' support. And during his teenage years, he's completed the Sivananda School's International Yoga Vedanta teacher training. And in his 20s, I mean his early 20s and his early 30s, he's routine engaged and trained under the Sri Patabi Joyce and BKS Iyengar, the most famous yoga teachers in modern times. So he started teaching yoga at Saraswati Vidyalaya, Central Board of Secondary Education in 1995 in India. And he's also been teaching at the Malaysian Fine Arts Academy in Kuala Lumpur since 1999. So thank you, Manoj, for taking your time, and thank you all the students of Manoj who have taken their time to participate today. I appreciate your time, and we pass on the stage to you now, Manoj. Thank you very much. Over to you.
Hey, thank you. One second, let me just work on this. So namaste all, it's great to see you all. And first of all, thanks to WMC. A great initiative. It's very nice to hear of your intentions. And I thank personally Mr. Santosh for a good friend, and he has invited me to give a talk on this forum. So just to finish up, I mean, bio is not a big thing, but just to finish it up. So when I came to Malaysia in around 99, I started teaching in Temple of Fine Arts. But by 2000, I and my wife started a school in PJSS2. And then we named our way of teaching as Manasa Yoga. And that's where we are teaching now. And due to, ever since COVID, we are kind of teaching globally as well through Zoom. So that's what I am, just to complete what you started off, Alex. So thanks a lot for that intro, Alex. And so now to yoga itself. So to speak on yoga today, I would like to share, most of us are familiar with the term yoga, and most of us have some concepts about what it is. And that's where I would like to talk about some of the ways in which we as teachers, practitioners, and as a school, we have certain unique views on what yoga is and how it should be practiced. And to start off, like today, I had sent this link, this WMC Zoom link, to many of my own friends. And as the time approached near the talk, I'm getting messages like, we are too old to stretch. Like stretching will hurt me, and all those kind of things. So that seems that can be a good starting point of the lecture, because that is a popular conception that yoga is about stretching, and we don't want to deny that. Yes, there is stretching involved, But the concept of stretching is very constricted in the minds of the general people. So we need to first stretch the concept of stretch itself. So that's one of our motto itself. Manasa Yoga's kind of tag theme is stretch your mind. So we need to stretch, but is stretch only limited to the idea of, okay, stretch, head to the floor? Okay, that is a stretch, but is stretch limited only to those kind of things? Okay, I'm stretching this area. Is stretch only limited to that? Then it is a stretching practice. And there are many, I don't know, there are many like exercise fitness protocols which focuses on that. So contortion is one, where the end aim is increased flexibility. Whereas yoga's end aim is not increased flexibility. It is stretching, but we have to then look at stretching in the context of time. So yoga is a very ancient system. Okay, so we know that it originated thousands of years back. So in this regard, there tends to be some stickiness. There are groups of yoga teachers and practitioners who are kind of, they identify their practice with that thousands of years back. So that would be staying with the text, staying with the Sanskrit-based teachings, and then discarding what's happening right now, the physiological insight, the biomechanical insights, the energy insights of physics, that they will tend to discard. Any new movement protocol, they will discard, because for them, yoga is that ancient text. So that is one group of people. Then there is the other group of people which we see all over the social media. So that is the modern not all, but there is this big group of people who link yoga with purely a movement system, and the postures and just stretching and feel good and look good, and that's the main focus. So these are two extreme groups. But when we bring the concept of stretching, that is integrated. It's not separating. So we need to stretch in that context of time. So yoga, can we include the great insights of our ancient pioneering sage teachers, but can we stretch those teachings right into this moment and include the insights coming in this moment? So this is one of Manasa's focus. So stretch in the context of time, not split, stretch, where every point is included in that stretch. Okay, so we can expand more and more and more, and it's a evolving stretch. So as new insights come, we should be able to include it, contemplate it, and if we feel that it's going to serve us in our pursuit of whatever individually you are pursuing, we have to bring it in. So that is one concept of stretch we at Manasa encourage all students to have. Then the other is this mind-body dichotomy. So this is another question which comes to me. Do you teach meditation or do you teach only yoga? Do you teach asana or do you teach pranayama? So again, this is the split kind of perception of yoga. So if you're teaching this, then you're not teaching that. And the whole concept of stretch should include all of this, okay, all these different points. So, so that is what we are working on. So body, mind, see, whatever we call as mind is, this conscious mind is a result of our nervous system. So if neuron is physical, then mind is physical as well. So we can't completely think of mind as somewhere beyond the body and then body as something out of the mind. They are really interlinked. There is biology and neurology and chemical kind of secretions behind what we call as a thought, as a feeling, all of that. So mind, when you bring it down to that nervous system function, brain function, then it is physical as well. So we need to bring in knowledge to the students. So that is one big difference in a yoga class and a contortion class. So like we might be working on a similar kind of what outwardly looks like a stretch, but the yoga teacher's intent is to through the medium of the stretch, can we pass on maximum knowledge to the student about their body, about how breathing can affect the tension or the relaxation of the body, and so forth. So we are teaching. So that's why, like at Manasa, our teacher training courses are always teachers. We do not really, we do have a basic instructor's course, but our focus is on teachers, because yoga is about wisdom and philosophy, and the teacher has to learn and teach, not just stretch in the house. And then if you're flexible, you can show the stretch, and then, hey, you're a yoga teacher because you can show the stretches. That is not our idea. Okay, so yoga is a wisdom tradition, and we need to include the wisdom of the ancient sage teachers as well as the current, whatever is coming in science journals, medical journals. All of that we have to include in this stretch of wisdom. Okay, we can't cut away the present and say that yoga is only that. So these are all part of the stretch concept. And then another big overreaching intention of yoga is the context of change. So what is the purpose which drives you to a yoga studio or unroll the yoga mat? What drives you to do that? You want a change in some way. It can be initially, I want to change my body from being inflexible to flexible. So that is definitely one idea of change. But in yoga, what we are really looking at is change in perception, and change in perception, change in the way we respond to things mentally. These are areas where yoga teachings is intending a change in its students. So in the big picture, I don't know how many of you are really interested in the deep philosophy of yoga, but just to give you a hint, like that huge direction of yoga is telling us that we are not limited to the name, form, and function. So each one of us is a name. When I look at the screen, I'm seeing so many names, and some of you who are the video is on, I can see forms. So names and forms, and each one of you is a function. If we introduce each other, we will say, okay, I'm CEO of this, or I'm, so we start to identify ourselves with a function, with a profession. So, and that is great. And that is how you are present now. So the presence is what we can kind of sense, and we try to conclude ourselves around what is present. So my body, my relationship identities, my job identity, around that, we have a sense of identity. Now, yoga wants us to look a bit further and to understand that there is an essence behind the presence, which is not really available to see on a sensory basis. So whatever it is, like even like you can hear me, but that is that is evident. So that function, you know, okay, I'm hearing you, but how this hearing is happening is difficult. We do not see how the movement of the air molecules hitting the tympanum and that getting converted into what you make out as a sound, and not only sound as clear words. To all this, we can point out those who are learned in the neurology and all that. You will be able to say some more things. You will say, okay, Wernicke's area in the brain takes care of words. Some other area will take Broca's area, I think, takes care of speech. But yeah, that is names of the people who discovered these parts, not who is orchestrating these activities. So that is the essence behind what is present. And somehow we are not too curious about this essence, which is behind our breathing, which is behind whatever we are doing. So yoga wants us to stretch our sense of perception of what we are, to include that, to include this mysteriousness in us. There's a mystery to what we are. There's an unknownness to what we are. So do not conclude what we are only around the known aspect, which can be the name, form, relationship, identity, whether we are succeeding in some pursuits now are failing. Around that, we can create an identity. Oh, I'm hopeless, I'm failure, or I'm great, I deserve to be the president. Or all these things are around what is evident. But what drives us from behind include that also in our acknowledgement of what we are. So, so that is a big kind of direction in yoga. The yoga teachers will be talking of this. So, for example, when I tell you or anyone to raise the arm up, there is no mystery there if you do not deliberately acknowledge that mystery. So, first response is I'm raising my arm up, and if the teacher guides you deep enough, you will start to wonder, I who? I am lifting the arm, but really, like, so what is lifting the arm? So if you are knowledgeable in an anatomical sense, you'll say, oh, friend deltoid is lifting the arm. Friend deltoid, really? How does it know to contract exactly when you have the thought of lifting the arm? How that thought is transferred into a neurochemical kind of process whereby that muscle contracts. What is orchestrating between that thought and the muscle contraction? And are the muscles hearing it or what? So then as we look deeper, it gets even more amazing. For muscle contraction, we don't want to go too much, but just to put you in a state of what's called ashirya, a wonderment, not to take for granted. For this, if I keep repeating for more than 4-5 seconds, there is huge changes happening in the muscle cells. There is this process called ATP synthesis. There are a bond of 3 phosphate molecules which has to be broken. And out of that breaking, there is this energy which is used for just these simple movements. So when you are armed with such knowledge, then you are asked to use that knowledge to light it up in all your activities. So at Manasa, we are very clear that what we do in the yoga class, we call it mat practice or even mat learning. So in the class, the teachers are giving you all these insights to put you in a state of acknowledgement and of mystery, of wonderment, and to see the body as really a miracle, a revelation of intelligence of the universe, and then to take it further. So you're walking, you're jogging. Don't just listen to music, nod the head, and just hum along. Also, just wonder at the mystery of this jog, walk. So always include that unknownness in your sense of self. Okay, so not just the known sense of self. So even the namaste indicates this coming together of two. And in one way that namaste means, okay, the known and the unknown, they come together. Okay, so so that is one big direction of yoga. So the thing is, these kind of wisdom-based directions of yoga, they are perhaps not entertaining to the majority masses. So teachers tend to say, okay, let's start the yoga class. Let's do something 10 times and warm up. And so they put that entertaining stuff straight away. And then students start to believe that, yeah, yoga is about that. It's just stretching. But it's very important to know that it is stretching, but stretching what? Stretching your mind, stretching your current idea of yourself, stretching your ability of perception. Now, when you say that this kind of big change of perception of yourself from including only what is present to also include what's the essence, it starts with small steps. Okay, so we first have to practice to see more. So the Sanskrit term is darshanam. Yoga is put under this philosophical head called darshanam. Darshanam, the root is drish, which means to see. So yoga is a seeing practice, a distinction we make at Manasa Yoga. Yoga is not just a stretching practice. It is a seeing practice. So even what appears to be a physical stretching is used as a means to see more of your body from an experiential point of view. So like, okay, if I'm moving the arm, I want to see more of what is moving where. Arm is moving here. Okay, this is shoulder joint. So up to what point the arm moved, at what point the spine moved. So this kind of a sharp inquiry and through that process, getting more and more insightful about your own abilities of focus and discernment and body. These are the directions. So we start small, but the whole idea is a change should happen. And the change is not just from the perception of ourselves, from name and form to include something more, but also we want to change the way we respond to daily life challenges. So we want to change from being reactively angry and foul-mouthed at the slightest of triggers. We want to change to a more equanimous, compassionate, understanding being. We want to give more love. We want to change. Every new year, we do say that, okay, I'm going to change now. I'm going to stop this habit. We do say that, but what we are saying is not a simple process. There's a word which comes along with this. For us to change, we are asking a pattern, a habit to change. That we are looking at what's called neuroplasticity. And in the modern well-being, mind-body well-being circles, this is a word which is used a lot. And this is something at Manasa, we and our teachers are told to be cautious. I used it very liberally, but at the same time, I do say that I'm not a neurologist. So we include these teachings. So this is a stretch of the wisdom we are talking about, ancient wisdom, plus whatever current we can get and see where this can correlate, where this can make sense and apply it. So neuroplasticity, now it's very common for people to say the brain is changing, the brain is plastic, the brain is malleable, it's changing anytime you can change it. But it's not so simple. If you're very young, in the sense of like under 20 or so, perhaps it's very easy. After that, the brain, once it wires up in certain ways, it doesn't like to simply change the formula of what you are. So it kind of predisposes you, and you're kind of enslaved to how it is. Now, to change those wiring, some ingredients are needed, and the different branches of yoga are a little bit based on that. So devotion, faith. So this is emotion based. Emotion can really bring about a rewiring. So that can bring about a change of perception. Now at Manasa Yoga, we are not pursuing that. So devotion, emotion is where, where perhaps we need to, these are charismatic teachers, and like they might seem to possess some higher wisdom, and so somehow we surrender, and when they say something, we trust it so much, there can be a change. So sometimes great wonders happen in that way when these people say something, spontaneous changes, and sometimes in even health recovery and such things can happen. But at Manasa, we are not behind that. So another way change is possible is through alertness, focus, and repetition. Through these three ingredients, change is possible. Okay, so some like studies in neuroscience, which I've just glimpsed through, seems to support this. So they say that for neuroplasticity to happen, three ingredients. One is called acetylcholine, then the other is called epinephrine. Epinephrine is for alertness, and acetylcholine for focus, both from the brainstem and from the frontal brain. So these three are creating an environment in which the brain patterns can change. Without it, it doesn't change. So what, as a takeaway for us is, we don't have to remember the names, but takeaway is change simply doesn't happen. Okay, simply saying I'm going to change, it's not going to. So you need focus, you need alertness, and you need to repeat. Then a change is possible. So in a yoga class, then what is needed is, it is not the flash impressiveness of the pose, but it is about how focused we can bring our students. So how alert can we make them? And then you're predisposing that brain with ingredients in the presence of which this magical neuroplasticity can happen. So once rich with these kind of secretions and hormones and neuromodulators and all those things, when the teacher is talking about the values of equanimity, and the teacher is saying, auto suggest that I am equanimity, I am calmness, I am peace, and I am a conqueror of anger, and I am extending love to all. That in the presence of these three ingredients, plus repeating and repeating, then there is a possibility that can really happen. And then this emotion also will start to synergistically join. So when you do that, after a while, you start to really feel something. When the chemical alteration takes place, when there is a alteration in the hormone secreted in the brain, there is there's a change in the palatal sense of your being. You taste the taste of your being, the consciousness starts to change. That means something has changed. Neurochemistry has changed, biology has changed, something has changed. Then it can be augmented by a feeling of, you start to believe this. Okay, so then that will bolster up, and you can really bring about amazing changes in the way you perceive, in the way you believe what you are. You think you're hopeless, but in these kind of classes with these ingredients, you're saying, I can achieve whatever I want. Okay, I believe that in every day I'm moving one step closer, and I believe that the universe is right behind me through my nervous system, through all my systems. The universe is guiding me. It will help you. So all these have to be included. If what you do, you want to call it a yoga practice, just a yoga mat, start something with a namaste, and with the namaste, it doesn't really make it yoga. Okay, so any kind of dresses or without shirt, bald headed, still in our understanding, it doesn't become yoga. Okay, and we are very clear in the way we teach. We need to increase these ingredients. So with this, let me just check whether it's time. They want to give you an equal measure of like actual practice. So just to give you a taste of how we try to do this is, most of you must be familiar with the word sun salute. Okay, so sun salute, check, okay, I'm gonna go. 1 second. So sun salutation, okay, sun salutation, you know, this is these movements which start with the namaste, and then we are doing all these movements. So now the devotion part, sometimes we'll say you daily do sun salutation, and depending on the culture and religious background you have, depending on the belief system, some of us might believe daily do 20 sun salutes. The sun energy will be pleased, and the sun energy will bless you. That's let it bless you. Okay, that is one approach. But our approach, again, I told you, is not about appeasing any of such kind of belief systems, you know, like not belief systems, like any such kind of approach. It is beautiful. I have no qualms against, but just telling you how our approach is. We need to increase alertness, increase focus. And then in yoga, we talk about this term called viveka, to discern more. So that needs even more of all these ingredients we're talking about, focus and alertness even more. So for example, if I mean, those who can do later, like if you just do a namaste, can you all, I can't see you, most of you, but just try to take a namaste. This is the very first action of sun salute. Okay, so if we are not told to, we will skim through this movement. So namaste is just a gesture, and then we go into this bigger flashy movement. But in our school, we will tell you to pause right there. How was your alertness in this namaste? How focused were you? How perceptive were you? Could you see more of this namaste? What exactly is in this namaste gesture? So then we go via the biomechanical way. So you can start to do this. There's a nice action. We don't really work on the elbows. We don't really move the elbows in a full range much during the day. So just do this a few times. So namaste, there's a beautiful kind of Sanskrit ring to it, but right now just see it as elbow flexion. So that is the joint, and it doesn't make it any less spiritual or any more material. What we have, we are giving it an attention. So just doing this elbow flexion and release, elbow flexion and release. Now start to include, as you're doing the elbow flexion, where do you feel contraction? What do you think is bringing the forearm up against gravity? So start to try to feel it. What's happening? This miracle of namaste, like what is allowing it to happen? What's the agency of this elbow bending? So perhaps you're starting to feel some contraction at the biceps, and it's beautiful to acknowledge that area is somehow quickly understanding our thought of namaste and just working to bring this forearm up. Then you're looking at, okay, what is happening when I'm lowering the forearms? Can I extend the elbows a bit clearly? And then what do I feel? Then you're suddenly feeling your tricep, the back of the arm. So then that is a practice for us. There is alertness here, there is focus here, there is repetition here. You're really trying to feel namaste as a movement concentration. And then we shift to, again, many people, for attention to remain, um, anything to remain, for your attention, there has to be an interest. And that motivation to keep attending, again, is dependent on dopamine. And to keep the students' interest, then we need to, and also to keep that attention going and alertness going, we need to now bring some difference. If we just say do this 100 times, attention is just going to fall off. So from namaste, now we are taking it into pure elbow movement. So at the elbow joint, what do we know for elbow joint? What are the movements available for us at the elbow joint? Any joint, for it to be healthy, it has to be taken through its range of motion. It doesn't have to be that contortion level, but it needs to be taken through its different movement. So if you're daily only doing like nothing, just this kind of thing, then that elbow joint is compromised. So we need to take it through its full range of movement, and this kind of synovial joints, this kind of movements when you do, the membrane secretes the synovial fluids, and all that is beautiful. So the elbow movements you can do is you can just open up the hands a bit wide and keep the palms open. So this is called supination, okay, palms facing forward. Now from here, just flex the elbows and completely. So do not do any wrist action, this is just elbows, so the hands remain neutral. So you're just flexing maximum, how much can I close? So then you'll be feeling a nice contraction at the bicep. Now, elbows can also rotate the forearm. So now from here, turn like into a blessing gesture, forearms look, palms look forward, and then you extend it down and completely extend. So then you know that the elbow doesn't go this way in backward. This is it. It stops here, and that's a small insight. We're just keeping on learning daily about the body. So then again, supinate, flex, pronate, extend. So this is something you can do on a daily basis. There's maybe 5 to 8 times. It's simple. So here, supinate, flex, feel, pronate, extend, feel tricep, supinate, flex, feel, pronate, extend, feel. So this much we will derive out of that namaste gesture. So it is an elbow flexion. There is a little bit of a pronation here, but we'll also include the supination action at the forearm. So this is, we're talking from point of view of a joint health. So we want to increase our ability to see, to know more of the body. That means to know more of our joints, the different movements available, and how we can't simply take for granted health of joints. So if you have any kind of, I don't have a pet in the house, but I've seen people, you'll take it for walking, and it has to be given activity. Okay, so otherwise there is stagnation. So there is movement or there is stagnation, and stagnation is where all kinds of disease or illnesses start to develop, whether it's a mind, brain, or simple joints. So elbows stagnate on desktops. Okay, so we need to work it. So this is an important movement, and you can just add it. Maybe toothbrushing is one time you're doing this, so that's fine. Then okay, after that, after toothbrush, just do repeatedly a few times with a tempo. Okay, not too fast, not too jarring. So that is with regards to elbows. From just this one position of namaste, we can derive that. So the second movement of sun salute is this action. Okay, so this action and arching back, but that many of us will see it like a single movement, but it is not. There is so much of it's a compound movement, and we need to isolate to understand more. So shoulder, this is a movement called shoulder flexion. So that many times goes down in people because we now very seldom really reach up for anything unless you're in deliberate fitness systems where they ask you to do, because there are remote controls. Last time we need to reach up to switch on the fan and all that. So now it's not there. Last time books were on top of the shelf, we need to take it out. Now everything is on the phone or iPad. So we very seldom really reach up. Okay, so that's an important action. Shoulder problems are on the rise. Okay, frozen shoulder and such things are on the rise. That's because we keep it frozen. It's not as simple as that, but there will be definite conditions which can give rise to that. But it's good to give some mobility. Shoulder is the most mobile joint in the body, but if we again keep it in very isolated positions, just like this is one position we put the shoulder in, whether we are working on the computer, driving, cutting vegetables, reading books. This is one position we put shoulder on. We very seldom take it high above or behind. So that's important to work on. So we will increase the range of movement possibilities from taking from this. So again, if you're joining me, you can just join here. So you can stand for this. So the arms are just relaxed by the sides. Now we do an action of shoulders called adduction, which is this. So because of lack of time, I'm doing both arms. Single arm is like that, but both arms is like this. So this is adduction. Now from here, you're taking the arms overhead, just for, you don't have to go down on your knees. I'm just showing it for you to see. So it is this is called flexion. At this point, don't lift your spine. We don't want spine to move. We just want the shoulder joint to give this movement to the upper arms. Now from here, just want you to take the arms as back as possible. Okay, so still this is back. So it's in a two-dimensional, it might look like I'm taking it out. I'm taking it back, and when around this shoulder height, you do the shoulder action called internal rotation. So instead of palms facing up, internal rotation, and then just bring it back behind you. Then from here, you take the arm straight back, shoulder extension, then open like this, bring it overhead, and take it into adduction and bring it down. And then you can reverse it. Okay, take it here, take it here, take it behind you, turn the palms down, take it back as much as possible. Okay, then you are bringing it to hip height, reverse it, here, bring it here, here, here. So that if you do daily some 5 to 8 times, it's a great movement for the shoulder joint. All the muscles related there get its work, and they all needs to be. So the nervous system figures out that you're going to use it. So its pathways will be there, and then one day suddenly you decide to play a racket sports or something, the body is ready for it. Okay, so so that is a shoulder movement which we take from this second movement of the sun salute. Okay, so this action. So okay, so I mean, this is just to give you an idea of how what is yoga and what is just stretching. I'm just trying to show the difference there. So a yoga student, a teacher, is to be well versed in biomechanics, well versed in whatever we can understand from different available neurology and such branches of wisdom. We make it part of our study scope. So this is in terms of movement. Now, in terms of another thing which maybe we can talk about is breathing. So breathing and yoga is, I mean, is so integral. And recently, I've been seeing a lot of videos, especially from India. This is people have that device, and I need to get it myself. Somehow it measures the oxygen saturation, and so people are showing different kind of breathing techniques and how it increases the oxygen saturations, and in a way, people are all showing the different techniques So people belonging to different schools, they're talking about their technique raising these oxygen levels, and that will be true, and that is great. But what should not happen is we thinking that if you do not know that particular technique of that particular school, then we can't do it, and then we are scared to do the breathing because maybe we are thinking that there's something there. Nothing like that. We are all breathing, and we just have to understand the fundamentals, okay, and then apply the knowledge. So this whole thing of oxygenation, there will be so much. If anybody with who's into respiratory doctors and all that, they will know so much. But on a simple layman sense, your lungs are like bags, and it is filled with so many millions of sacs called the alveoli. If you spread it out, it is as big as somewhere a football field or something. So much is there, and they tend to collapse. When you're getting fatigued, and they tend to collapse, and then that oxygen, you cannot get really oxygenated. They are collapsed, and we need to kind of open them, inflate them, kind of, so as to speak. And towards that, what we can term as Pradiloma Kapalabhati. Kapalabhati, perhaps most of you are available, are familiar with it. It is fast, short exhalations. But if you want to quickly inflate the alveoli, the reverse, short inhalations, double inhalations. So like that kind of, is the sound clear? Like Susan, you can hear me, right? Yes, that kind of, this kind of breathing can quickly inflate the alveoli. And what it also does is that strong exhalation will also release built up carbon dioxide. So when carbon dioxide built up, that's when you feel a bit agitated and lethargic and a host of things. So this double inhale and exhale can really help in kind of that oxygenation. So it's simple physiology, a collapsed kind of alveoli, you're just inflating them. Okay, so that is something you can do maybe around 10 times, 15 times, a few times of the day. And if you have this oxygen measuring thing, please do get in touch with me. I will personally guide you, and then we can check whether it really increases the oxygenation. Okay, so that's something we can do. And then in the list of things, I told Santosh that what we can do is how yoga can help with stress. So again, that's a huge area. Okay, again, a simple thing to do is perhaps we can work with the breath. Okay, so one of the side effects of stress is the heart rate tends to go up. So the stress is when your mind body, we can't talk of one alone, it is mind body. Your mind body senses a threat. It can be anything. It can be in the office, it's right before a meeting, or whatever it is. The stress response is always, it starts to send some blood more into your skeletal muscles. So it thinks that there is stress here, there is danger if you go into the room. So perhaps you brace to take any attack, or you throw a punch yourself, or you run. Be ready to run or attack or brace. So it starts to send more blood into the muscles, and that needs a bit more raised heartbeat. And raised heartbeat and faster breathing rhythm are kind of correlated. And when that happens, you are setting up the scene for what we call a sympathetic nervous system pattern. Then that tells your system to secrete stress hormones like adrenaline and norepinephrine and a host of cortisol, and all these things start to happen. And then you're in full-blown kind of a stress state, which is a mind-body state. If there is stress, there has to be these hormones, there has to be these neuromodulators, and all of that is active. So it is a mind-body thing. So one simple way even the ancient texts talk about is focus on nice, long exhalations. Okay, so long exhalations. So in one way, how it works physiologically is when you inhale deep, your diaphragm normally starts to go downward. When the diaphragm goes down, the space of the heart increases. And then your blood inside starts to move slower. Okay, so that vinyasa, that sequence, you have to remember, diaphragm goes down, the heart space becomes enlarged, the volume of blood inside suddenly gets more space, and then it slows down. Okay, it's not squeezed, it just slows down. Then the moment it slows down, you got watchers there, observers there, called synoatrial node, a group of neurons. They immediately send a message to your brainstem saying that, hey, something is happening, the heart is slowing down, you need to change it. So the brainstem immediately sends currents there, and the heart starts to again beat faster. Okay, so inhalation tends to set up the stimulus for faster heartbeat. Now, this won't be like one inhale or something. If you're persistently taking deep inhales or vigorous inhales, if the inhalation is vigorous than the exhale, this tends to happen. So if you go to the other way, if you start to exhale longer, your diaphragm starts to push up into the heart space. The heart gets slower, and the heartbeat initially starts to go faster because there's less space to squeeze. And in that, it seems like the heart starts to beat further because constricted space it needs to beat. So it sends a signal to the brainstem. The brainstem says, "Hey, slow down." Okay, so that impetus starts to come. So when that comes along, there are different connections from brainstem to your forebrain to your breathing centers. It's all linked. Then a kind of a slowing down starts to happen. So in yoga, these ratios of 1:2, and even like 1:2:2, which is inhale, exhale, hold a bit outside. These kind of ratios are used when you want to quickly shift from a sympathetic nervous system, a stress kind of state, to a bit more calmer breathing, calmer heartbeat kind of state. Okay, so I can just guide you through a few breaths. So this is not only needs to be a long exhale, it can be where exhalation is more vigorous than inhale. So things like Kapalabhati also works in a similar way. It is not long exhale, but it's much more vigorous than the inhale, and that keeps hitting the diaphragm up, and that can also get the stimulus. Hey, calm down, heart. I mean, you need to slow down, that kind of thing. So we can do a few breaths like that. So breathe through the nose, because long breath, we only have certain degree volume of air. So if you want to make that volume of air longer, you need to keep the holes through which the air goes out smaller. Okay, so mouth is a bigger thing and the air can go out faster. So nostrils smaller and the air will take longer time to go out, and longer the exhalation, the better the effect of this calming down. So we'll just do a 4:8 ratio, 3 breaths. So exhale completely. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And normal breathing. Just be alert. Can you feel the pulse, the throb of your heart? Can you feel? You don't have to really feel it experientially, but just trying. This is to bring about the two qualities we talked about, alertness and focus. And then assuming that this kind of attempts have increased the acetylcholine and epinephrine and all of that, we can do things like, so this maybe you can open eyes. If your hands are by the legs or wherever you keep, you can just contract the arms, fists, forearms tense, biceps tense, shoulders tense, inhale deep, hold. So you're holding everything and exhale, let everything relax. Shoulder relax, biceps relax, forearms relax, fingers relax, all relaxed. Now I want you to do this a few times. So continue by yourself. So in the context that you have the ingredients, now when you're about to release, you put in that suggestion in that retention of the inhalation, say that along with the known tension of my shoulders and arms, all unknown, unwholesome clenchedness I'm releasing. All unwholesome bondages I'm releasing. So repeat this a couple of times. Contract that you know. What you don't know is where all you're hooked up, entangled. Just say that I'm releasing it. And after the next exhale, you can softly open eyes. So now I'm open to questions. So if you would like to ask anything on what I've spoken, and you should be able to unmute yourself if you would like to talk. If you're putting messages, that's fine, but just because I'm a little bit away, Susan, are you able to read message? If so, just if you can unmute and read out to me if it's a question, or then I can respond.
No questions at this point.
Okay. 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 I'm happy with that.
I think everyone's had a fantastic time listening to you, Mr. Manoj, and getting some insights from you. I think the shoulder part was definitely exciting and easy, because that's the common thing that everyone faces these days with regards to their working from home kind of an environment and stuff.
Yep.
And we've had some very interesting people join us today, and everybody's listening. Everybody's
great to know that.
keen to know that, and yes, congratulating us for bringing you on board, which is a great achievement. An expert like you to come.
Thank you all. Thank you all. No.
Serve the industry, serve the people. That's great. That's great. Well, I now open the floor for any questions people might have. So please feel free to ask him questions, because see, this is not something that you can get every day. Number one. Number two is he is not someone that you can reach easily. So please do feel free to ask questions. Above all that, it's about our mental health and our well-being. That's what we work hard for. So please shout out and ask the questions that you would like.
Yes, and definitely like but if you would like to reach me more, I'm available on Zoom classes almost on a daily basis. So you can always check with, if you don't have my contact, you can check with Mr. Santosh or something, and if I can always tell you if something of the classes interests you. It'll be great to work on a class by class basis. Yeah.
Good evening, Manoj. Thank you so much for the wonderful session. It was something different and new also from the normal sessions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just want to, if you could highlight a little bit on the Hummingbird Breath, that is the Brahmari breath, which gives you, the production of nitric oxide, and which is very handy as far as the COVID patients are concerned.
Okay, I can't see who's talking. If you can just
Sorry, I'm
say your
also
name.
down with the COVID now, so that's why I'm not
Oh,
coming
okay.
on the
Okay. No,
video.
not the
My
video.
apologies
Your
for
name,
that.
sir. Yeah, your name, sir.
I'm Colonel Nissar, an old veteran,
Okay.
served the country for 33 years and retired for the last
Okay.
5 years now.
Okay. Okay. Great. So, with regards to Bremery specific, I mean, can you tell me, like, is there any specifically any particular place from where you got that information that Bremery?
I got it through lot of sites from the Google only. That if you
Yeah.
do this Brahmri breath, that is the humming bee breath, it
Yeah.
produces nitric oxide, which also is a very valid nasal drop, which is still in production. They have not yet finalized it as yet. So I just want to know, will this Brahmri pranayam help us as far as
Okay.
more oxygenation is concerned?
Sure. So, in terms of technique, I mean, those who are not familiar with Bremery, Bremery is where you create a humming sound. Usually, the Bremery practices, the humming sound is done only with the exhale. So it goes like you inhale normally, and the exhalation is that humming. And then if you're doing it for connecting in that esoteric aspects of yoga, we are also requested to close the ears, and so we can really use that sound so when this deliberately made sound ends, because of our listening to that sound, we might even start to pick up on our we are all vibration, and we might start to pick up on a subtle sense of the vibrational being. So that is that side of it. Now, when it comes to the physiological benefit as to how you were talking about the Bremery, there is an inhalation Bremery, which is normally I don't do it in public because the sound can be quite weird. So it is you make the sound with the inhale. So it goes like this is the two aspects of Bremery. Now, in both is humming, and there is nothing fundamentally different in the way the nostril, the nasal cavity, nothing is being very differently done other than when you're taking a normal deep breath. And Bremery, it is the humming, which is basically like along the oral cavity and throat, and that's where the hum comes. So I'm not very sure as to on what basis they are emphasizing that Bremery brings off, I mean, the nasal cavity, yes, when you breathe through the nose, there is this nitrate, and when the oxygen meets it, nitric oxide secretion occurs, and that's beautiful. That inflates the air passage as it goes along, can reduce even blood pressure. All these researches are going on. But I'm not very sure if Bremery, by specifically Bremery, is going to increase oxygenation. So that's what I wanted to say. By all means, you can try. And now you have the measuring tool. But from my point of view, we need to wake up this kind of collapsed alveoli. For that, a little bit of aggressive inhales, not too much because you're already kind of tired and all that, but simple like that kind of thing will help. Plus, perhaps any breathing. Now, I'm also seeing people lying prone on the floor and breathing, and they're saying that gives more oxygenation. That maybe that's a bit more effort, and it opens up more. So I'm a bit sorry if I can't directly answer you on Bremery, because I'm not very sure how that humming sound, which is a distinctive feature of Bremery, can increase nitric oxide from the nasal cavity point of view.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
No problem.
I did a little bit trials. Initial oxygen levels was 94, 95. Then after about 5 to 8 rounds of Bremery, it moved up to 97, 98. But I can't 100% give you the result that it is because of that.
Yeah, exactly. So what I would like you to try.
It not be based on the humming sound, but maybe because of more oxygen.
Yes, because of the deep breath you're doing, and perhaps the focus on the hum gives you that impetus for that long breath. So if you can try maybe a 5-second inhale, 5-second exhale. So if you can kind of find what's the primary length of the breath you're getting, and if you can do without the sound, also check oxygenation. I mean, you can reach out to me privately through the WhatsApp. I'm interested to know as well. Yeah.
Okay.
Great.
Thank you so much. Very, very kind.
Welcome. Thank you. Yeah, Colonel Nisar, I see your profile right now. Yeah, thank you. So,
okay, thank you, Colonel. Appreciate the question. Any other questions, please, from anyone else attending the session today? Well, I probably think everyone is a bit
that's fine.
concerned about what to ask.
Yeah,
because
no problem.
it's something it's something that they have probably not experienced before. So
yes,
maybe they will shoot out to
yeah,
you directly.
definitely. You can do that. You can yeah, my contact I think in the message. Susan, you can type there, right? Yeah. Okay. So she's putting it down my handphone, our school's email. So you can always please, I'm engaged. I'm very interested to engage in deepening the conversation, and it'll be wonderful to do that. Yeah,
definitely. Thank you a lot. Thanks a lot, Susan, for sending that information. So here's the information. It's info@manasa-yoga.com. Please feel free to write to that email address if you have any questions, or if you want to raise any personal questions, please do so. Do not hesitate, because well-being is the most important thing for us,
yes.
Especially these days with the current pandemic and scenarios that we are facing. So anything to that helps us to keep us motivated, keep us enriched, keep us excited about what we're doing and how we are is more important. Please feel free to do so. Please take a note of the email address again. It's info@manasa-yoga.com. And thank you everyone for joining this evening. I think we take a leave from here. And thanks a lot, Manoj, for your time and excellent session.
Thank you all.
It's one of the best sessions we've had so far. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
And we look forward to future sessions from you.
Yep.
Manoj. Definitely. This
always
is a great
happy.
session. Yeah.
Always happy.
Thank you all. Good evening.
Thank you.
And have a great week ahead.
Thank you all. Bye.
Thank you so much, Guru. Bye.
Bye, Bob. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, Dr. Madhu.
Thank you. Bye.
Welcome. Bye.
Diego Burma. Hello. Is it the program is cancelled or? Hello. Gracious Fernandez. Bindu. Anybody there?
Hello.
Yeah, Vijay from Muscat.
Hi.
This program is cancelled or?
I'm not sure. ഞാൻ നോക്കിക്കൊണ്ടിരിക്കുകയാണ്, ആരും കാണുന്നില്ല.
അറിയില്ല എന്താ പറ്റിയെന്ന്. ഞാനും കുറച്ച് ലേറ്റ് ആയി കയറാനായിട്ട്. അതുകൊണ്ട്
അതെ. എന്തൊക്കെയുണ്ടോ അവിടെ?
ഇവിടെ സുഖമായിരിക്കണം.
അവിടെ നോൺട്രി ബാനായോ?
അതെ, ഇപ്പൊ നോൺട്രി ആണ്. ഇന്നലെ ലാസ്റ്റ് ഡേറ്റ്. ഇന്ത്യന്ന് ആരും ഇങ്ങോട്ട് വരാൻ പറ്റില്ല. ഇപ്പൊ നമ്മുടെ കുറെ സ്റ്റാഫൊക്കെ അവിടെ എന്തെങ്കിലും പെട്ടുകിടക്കുകയാണ്, വരാൻ പറ്റാണ്ട്. പെട്ടെന്നായതുകൊണ്ട് ആൾക്കാർക്ക് ടിക്കറ്റ് കിട്ടിയില്ല, എന്നിട്ട് കുറെ ബുദ്ധിമുട്ട് വന്നു.
എന്താ ചെയ്യുക,
4 ഇരട്ടി കാശിന് ടിക്കറ്റ് കിട്ടിയിട്ട് പോകുന്നു, വരാൻ പറ്റിയില്ല.
ഹോപ്പ്ഫുള്ളി 2 weeks കൊണ്ടൊന്ന് കുറച്ച് മാറുമായിരിക്കും വിചാരിക്കാം അല്ലേ? അത് കുറച്ചുകൂടെ കൂടും.
ഭയങ്കരമായിട്ട് കൂടുതലേ ചെയ്യുന്ന ഒരു എന്താ പറയുക, വല്ലാത്ത ഒരു സിറ്റുവേഷനിലാണ് ഇപ്പൊ പോണേ. എന്താ ചെയ്യാ, ആൾക്കാര് വേണ്ട രീതിയിലുള്ള ഒരു പ്രിക്കോഷൻ പ്രോപ്പറായിട്ട് എടുത്തില്ല. അതിന്റെ ഒരു ഇമ്പാക്റ്റും കൂടിയാണ്. കാരണം രാഷ്ട്രീയവും മതവും എല്ലാം കൂടിയിട്ട് കുറെ കൂടുതലായി.
അതാണ്
ഇലക്ഷനൊക്കെ
എല്ലാവരും ഈസി വിസിബിലിറ്റി അതൊക്കെ ആയി. അന്നേരത്തേക്ക് പിന്നെ
ഈ ഇലക്ഷനൊക്കെ ഇപ്പൊ പെട്ടെന്ന് ഈ വർഷം നടത്തേണ്ട കാര്യം ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നില്ല. 1 വർഷം കൂടി മാറ്റി വെക്കുകയും അല്ലെങ്കിൽ നടത്തിയാൽ തന്നെ ഇതുപോലെ ജാതിയും എന്താ പറയുക രാഷ്ട്രീയ പാർട്ടികളായാലും കുംഭമേളയായാലും ഒക്കെ.
ഇൻട്രസ്റ്റിംഗ്. ഇനിയിപ്പം ഈ കൗണ്ടിങ് സെക്കൻഡ് വരുമ്പോ നോക്കാം അന്നേരം എങ്ങനെ ഉണ്ടാവും.
അതെ, പക്ഷെ ഇപ്പൊ ഈ ആൾക്കാര് ഓക്സിജൻ ഇല്ലാണ്ട് മരിക്കാന്ന് പറയുമ്പോ നമുക്ക് ഒരു ഭയങ്കര ചില വീഡിയോകളൊക്കെ കാണുമ്പോ ആൾക്കാരുടെ
അത് നമ്മുടെ ഈ എന്താ പറയാ ഈ ന്യൂസ് മീഡിയ എന്ന് പറയുന്നതും അവിടെ ഈ അയക്കുന്ന പിള്ളേരുമാർക്കൊക്കെ ഒരു ന്യൂസ് ഉണ്ടാക്കിക്കൊണ്ട് ഒരു സെൻസേഷൻ ഉണ്ടാക്കിക്കൊണ്ടുവരിക തുടങ്ങിയതാണ്. ഉണ്ടാവും കുറച്ചെന്നായി തോന്നുന്നത്. ഇല്ല എന്ന് പറയുന്ന ഓരോ പെർട്ടിക്കുലർ കേസസ് എടുത്തിട്ട് അവർ എക്സ്പ്ലോയിറ്റ് ചെയ്യാണോന്ന് സംശയമുണ്ട്.
പക്ഷെ ഇപ്പൊ
ഈ ഓക്സിജൻ ഇല്ല എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ ഇതുവരെ അങ്ങനെ കേട്ടിട്ടില്ല അല്ലേ? അങ്ങനെ ഒരു ഓക്സിജൻ വായു ഉണ്ടാകുന്ന സാധനമുണ്ടോ? അങ്ങനെ കിട്ടാതിരിക്കേണ്ട ഒരു കാര്യം. സിലിണ്ടറിൽ ഉണ്ടാക്കണമെങ്കിൽ ട്രാൻസ്പോർട്ടേഷൻ ഏത് ഭാഗത്താണ് ഇഷ്യൂ എന്നറിയില്ല. മീഡിയ സെൻസേഷൻ ആണോ എന്ന് തന്നെ സംശയമുണ്ട്.
മൊത്തത്തില്
അവിടെയൊക്കെ എങ്ങനെയാ ഈ ഓക്സിജൻ ഇഷ്യൂ ഉണ്ടോ നിങ്ങളുടെ
സിംഗപ്പൂരിന്ന് ഇപ്പൊ എന്തോ അവരൊരു ഫ്ലൈറ്റ് അയക്കുന്നുണ്ടെന്ന് തോന്നുന്നു. സിംഗപ്പൂരിന്ന് ഇന്ത്യക്കൊരു എന്താ പറയാ ഓക്സിജൻ അയച്ചിട്ടുണ്ട്. ഒരു മിലിറ്ററി
എവിടെ?
സിംഗപ്പൂരിന്ന് ഇന്ത്യയിലേക്ക്.
അല്ല ചോദിച്ചേ, പിന്നെ മസ്കറ്റിലല്ലേ ഇപ്പം? അല്ല നിങ്ങളുടെ സ്ഥലത്തൊക്കെ എങ്ങനെയുണ്ട് മസ്കറ്റിലൊക്കെ?
മസ്കറ്റില് ലോക്ക്ഡൌൺ ആണ്, എവിടെയും എന്താ പറയാ കൂടുതലാണ്. അതിന്റെ ഇതുണ്ട്.
അവിടെ ഹോസ്പിറ്റൽ ബെഡ്, ICU അങ്ങനത്തെ ഇഷ്യൂസ് ഒക്കെ ഉണ്ടോ?
അതിന് ഇല്ല, വലിയ കുഴപ്പമില്ല. ഉണ്ടാവും, എന്താ പറയാ കൂടിപ്പോയേ ഉണ്ടാവും എന്നുള്ളതുണ്ട്. അതുകൊണ്ട് അവര് കൂട്ടാണ്ട് നോക്കും. അതുകൊണ്ട് അവര് ഇപ്പൊ ലോക്ക്ഡൌൺ വെച്ചിരിക്കുകയാണ്. ഒന്നെങ്കിലും ഒന്ന് പേടിയുണ്ട്. കാരണം പെട്ടെന്ന് എല്ലാവരും കൂടി ഒരുമിച്ച് കഴിഞ്ഞ് കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ എല്ലായിടത്തും ഉണ്ടാവില്ല. എല്ലാ കൺട്രിയിലും ഒരു 10% മേലെ ഹോസ്പിറ്റൽ ബെഡ് അവർക്ക് വേണ്ടിയിട്ട് തീരില്ല.
അത്രയും ഉണ്ടാവില്ല. ഇപ്പൊ എന്താ പറയാ, ഇപ്പം ഒരു എല്ലാവരും കൂടെ സ്റ്റേറ്റ് ബാങ്ക് ഓഫ് ഇന്ത്യയിലേക്ക് പോയാലും ബാങ്കിലും അത് തന്നെയാണല്ലോ സ്ഥിതി എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ പോലെ.
അതെ അതെ.
ഓക്കെ, നല്ല ശരി. വിൽ ക്യാച്ച് അപ്പ്.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.